Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. We're here to talk about American Gods, Season 1, Episode 3, Head Full of Snow. So, very good episode. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yes, I did enjoy it. I did.
Thumbs up. With one exception, that being our good friend from Kids in the Hall. I would say a fairly non-violent episode. The violence level,
yes,
perhaps less.
Yes,
generally speaking.
Yes.
Okay. Which was it was a slightly different
death by natural causes
feel.
is not exactly violent, I guess.
Right, and we didn't actually witness it.
True.
So we can talk about that. So right off the bat, we have another coming to America type scene. I think they call it Somewhere in America.
Yeah, they do.
But so it continues that pattern. Episode 1, we had the Norsemen coming to America. Episode 2,
yes,
we had the slaves being brought to America. And so we had Odin in the first one. We had Anansi, the god, being brought to the U.S. in the second one. In this one, it's Anubis. So this particular woman, although she's a Muslim, her grandmother taught her all of the old Egyptian stories about the Egyptian gods and Egyptian mythology. And so when it comes time, she dies accidentally, falling off a stool while reaching up to make some food, basically, get some jarred preserves. She dies. Anubis comes and basically gives her her trip to the afterlife via the Egyptian belief, which is Anubis weighs your heart versus a feather, and if the deeds you've done, weigh your heart down, then you are not going to go to the happy afterlife. Bad things will happen to you. But in this case, she is deemed worthy, and so he beckons her to there's these 5 doorways. She does not want to go in the door that would lead her to her father.
Yes. But he wasn't going to tell her that. So.
He wasn't going to tell her, but she's like, why don't you choose? I trust you. And so he chooses for her. Yeah, you're a good boy.
Racist. No.
And so, interestingly, too, she has the Egyptian cat.
Yes.
Which
a hairless cat.
Which could be perhaps the form of a goddess we might see later.
Yeah,
who actually pushes her into the door. So the Egyptian theme, and Anubis will be coming back later as well. So we've met him. He is one of the old gods.
Yes. That
we will see later.
Yes.
While we're talking about it, we might as well just bring up the other Somewhere in America scene, because those are two things that are kind of unrelated to the main plot at the moment. And so that is the genie scene.
Yes.
Otherwise known as a jinn,
yep,
or an ifrit.
Yes.
We see a Middle Eastern man. We learn he's from Oman. He is a salesman, and he has a horrible day. And it seems like he's just come to the States. It sounds like he's been here for a week or something like that. That's what he says later in the cab. So his time in the U.S. has been pretty awful, and he just sits and he has his smile that he always... It's like, I forgot how he puts it, but like a salesman's smile is like his...
something
calling card or something like that. So even though he's feeling horrible, he has this like forced smile thing. So at the end of his day, it's raining horribly. He gets in the cab. Basically, he forms this bond with another Middle Eastern person who's driving his cab.
Yes. And he sees the special eyes. The
special eyes, the flames, which he recognizes because he, again, he learned the stories, and from that culture, he realizes this is an ifrit, and they have a night of passion.
They do.
It's a one night stand, but they do a good job at making it feel more emotional. I don't know.
Sure, when I read the book...
All right, this was in the book, a version of it.
A version of it, yeah. I get the impression that it's a one-night stand, and then, where did the cab driver go? Oh, well, now I'm a cab driver.
Yeah, in fact, I think Neil Gaiman's intention was to kind of show the kind of the genie in a bottle scenario where a genie gets trapped, and then usually a genie gets tricked into going into a bottle and then is trapped and then has to do this person's bidding to get out.
Which, of course, is a metaphor for alcoholism.
For alcoholism. Yes. The green fairy. No, okay.
Escape away from the bottle.
So, but the point being, like, you trap the genie and then you force it to do your wishes and stuff. In this case, in the book, it felt like the genie was trapping the person. Like, I'll let you in this as a fair, and when you're asleep, then I'll steal your identity, and now you're trapped as me as a cabbie. And then it was a little more of like almost like a morality tale or something. Like, well, you got trapped. In this case, they weren't going for that angle. I feel like in the show, I felt like it was like, wow, we had this really magical experience, and
now I'm you.
Although he's not a genie. I didn't get, because he didn't have the flames for eyes, for one thing.
He didn't?
He did not. He had put on the sunglasses, but he didn't have the flames.
I thought I saw the flames.
I did not see flames. So that's the thing. I think he just, it's like, you know what? You were looking for a job? Here's a job as a cabbie. Okay. And I think the genie took his identity and is going to Wisconsin to meet up with the old gods.
Okay.
Because we did see the genie earlier.
We did.
In episode 2.
Yes.
He's the one that Mr. Wednesday's talking with in the diner. Because we see him leaving.
Yes.
And Shadow sees the flaming eyes.
Yes,
what's that guy all about?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I could be wrong. You could be right. It could be that he inherits the powers of the genie. But I feel like it's more of he's just basically happy to take the cab and have a job.
That's what I thought.
I know. Did you notice also that the cabbie license pictures?
Yes,
there were several of them, and none of the pictures were either of those guys.
Really? No.
Yeah. So I think it was like it's been passed around.
Right. See, that's what made me think it was
like genie to genie thing.
No, that Gene the genie had picked up his identity, and then I was like, "No, I'm this guy." Is what it seemed like to me from watching the show. So yeah, it's like, look at all these other people I've picked up over the years. That's how I interpret that.
Yeah, that could
I hope I'm wrong, because I like the other story better. And then, like, somebody takes them up to their vagina, and the other person has sex with them, and then becomes them. It's like, what the heck? Don't ever have sex with these people.
Yeah, I think it was a more positive experience. I think it was a more positive experience for the salesman than it was for the Bilquis's victims. I'll say that.
And actually, I guess, as far as we know, Mr. Wednesday's sexual partners have all been, moved on too with their lives.
True. Now he flirts with Zariah.
Yes, he does.
A goddess in the scene. So that's fairly close to the beginning of the episode. So there's a scene where Mr. Wednesday flirts with Zariah. They go for a walk. We see
I think it was in the book.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Unless maybe it was later. But I don't think it was.
I think they flirt, but not quite that heavily, maybe.
Certainly don't have a scene where they walk around.
And then they have a kiss. Because I think what that scene is suggesting is, because she says, "What have you done?"
Yes. And
I think by kissing her, he like awakens her passions. He awakens. As a goddess, she's come to accept what she is now in the U.S. Like, you know what? Now I just tell fortunes and I take $1 here and there. I used to be awesome. And I used to have people serving me, and I like black satin sheets.
That's what he was saying.
Right. I mean, I think
he was like, sort of like, I'm used to this now, sleeping on the floor. But
I think what he did is he gave her a glimpse of the power that she used to have.
Perhaps.
And so that he's basically pulling her to his side.
But you can also take what what's her name was telling Shadow on the Roof.
The other Zariah.
They're supposed to be, all three of them are supposed to be watching him.
It's supposed to be watching the sky.
Him in the sky.
Yeah, the evil creature in the sky.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be Odin and the evil creature in the sky. They're supposed to be watching.
I didn't realize that they were supposed to be watching Odin as well. Okay.
Well, in the book they mentioned both.
Okay.
Maybe in the show they didn't mention both, but in the book they mentioned both. But maybe she's really only supposed to be watching the, To me though, that said that they're supposed to be watching what's going on, and so when Odin does something bad, it's sort of like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? That's
Okay. That's interesting. I didn't pick up on that angle, but all right, I can see what you're saying there. So wait, the three sisters, the Zerai sisters, you've got they're different incarnations of this. Like there's the morning star,
Yes.
the evening star, and the midnight star.
Yeah.
And so while this conversation is happening, while Wednesday is flirting with the evening star, Shadow is not necessarily flirting with, but having a conversation with
Isn't she with the morning star? She's the oldest.
I think she said though when she's the gateway, she would go to sleep. I don't know. Okay, maybe. I could be wrong on that. I'm sure. Flippity bookity findy. Which one was Cloris Reachman's? Either the morning or the evening. She's not the midnight.
No.
Okay. So
She's the youngest.
the midnight star, the youngest sister,
Yes.
has a dream conversation with Shadow,
Yes.
and she kisses him. So there's two kissings going on.
Yes, there are.
Both of the sisters get a kiss. The middle sister,
Takes a kiss.
no
Oh, no.
no
One
kisses.
gets kissed. Oh, no.
There's
kiss
one
for her.
sister that
Right.
that gets no kisses for the evening. So the youngest sister explains what the sisters do, and that is she's got a telescope on the roof with a little teddy bear on the top. And that teddy bear is obviously a symbol for the bear that they're watching in the sky. It's the Ursa Major is the constellation, and it's this bear that if it ever gets unchained will destroy the world like that. And if you remember from the previous episode when Shadow first arrives at their apartment, I believe there is a painting or there's an Ursa Major constellation framed in the hallway. So they're obviously a reference. One thing that's kind of funny to me is why are they watching? Does that imply that they can do something about it? Because she says, if he ever gets out, he'll just instantly kill the Earth.
Yeah.
Okay, then why does it matter if you watch him or not?
Maybe that's when the guy with the hammer comes out.
Yeah, I don't know. So
hit him.
I could understand if he's getting free, we can stop him.
Right.
But that's not really what they say. So it's just kind of like, we watch. We'll all die, and we'll know literally a split second before it happens. So, yes. All right. But anyway, that's their point, is they watch the skies for this threat. She takes a kiss from Shadow.
Yes.
She has never been kissed before. She equates it to eating blue cheese or drinking brandy.
Yes.
Like it tastes nasty, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it's disgusting in a nice way.
Right. And then she plucks the moon down.
Yes.
As a silver dollar and gives it to him and tells him, you already gave away your one source of luck. Don't give this. You gave away the sun. This is the moon. Don't give it away. Because he gave away the coin that Mad Sweeney gave him earlier, which comes into play at the end of the episode. So it's...
I wonder if what she might have been referring to was... Maybe she was referring to that. But I felt like it might have been that drink with Odin was...
The mead?
Yes, the mead was something he gave away when he, played that guy in checkers. I don't know. Maybe
he made the compact. I just feel like that coin, obviously, he got this lucky coin and he gave it away.
He did, that's true.
And she reads his palm and is like, you come from nothing because you believe in nothing.
Right.
But
the fact that he didn't intend to give it to him, though, I don't think he certainly intended to give it to him for that purpose, certainly, makes it feel like, maybe that's what she was referring to.
Well, there is also this notion, and we've said spoiler alerts before, but okay, spoiler alert. Shadow Moon is the god Balder, a Norse god. What? He doesn't realize it at the moment, but that's what he is.
Right.
Balder, his name basically means shining day. So like Mr. Wednesday, there's a shining day. And so he's the one that can beckon forth the sun. So the fact that he had the sun coin and he gave it away might be a reference to him. Balderdash. He created a game that he plays in parlors. Every time you play the game Balderdash, you're worshiping. That's how he stays alive. No, okay. So maybe the sun coin has something, a reference back to Balder. And the fact that he's called Shadow Moon, has the name Moon in his title, and he gets the moon as a coin. There's some symbolism going on there too. So with his now he's got a lucky coin. I don't know if this is the reason that he goes out and challenges Chernobog again. But in the book, he re-challenges Chernobog to a second game of checkers.
Yeah, right after the first one.
But he's right after the first one. In this case, he does the kiss first, gets the coin, and then it's like, oh, maybe I can. I don't know if that's what he's thinking, but perhaps he's like, I've got this lucky coin. Let me try again. And so he convinces Chernobog that, you know what? If you hit me once and you haven't done this in a couple of decades, I could just be brain dead but still alive, and everyone would know, oh, Chernobog wasn't strong enough to kill me in one blow. So if you beat me at checkers, I'll give you a second shot. No one else has to know about it, and you can kill me in 2 blows if you need it. And then if you lose, you have to go to Wisconsin to meet up with Mr. Wednesday. They play. Lo and behold, Balder Shadow wins.
Right. Well, Shadow. He apparently his opponent can only play one game.
Right. It's like, oh, you're playing the same game, old man. So he's like, you can only fool me once, and so he being Balder, he being Shadow, wins, and so Chernobog has agreed he will go with Wednesday, meet them in Wisconsin, and then after that he will still get to brain Shadow.
Yes,
and Shadow's fine with that. We cut to Mad Sweeney. Back at that same bar, the alligator bar. He's in the toilet stall, drunk. The barmaid shows up with a shotgun. He's like, you better get out of here or I'm going to shoot you. He says, no. And I think the implication here is, because of the lucky coin he thinks he has, his luck will not allow someone to shoot him.
Right.
So he's like, that gun's going to jam, or worse, it's going to backfire and you're going to lose some of your fingers. He said something about his luck. Like,
I wouldn't trust your luck.
I wouldn't trust your luck or something like that. And so he starts to drink a beer. She shoots the beer bottle. And he's like, and he realized, that's odd. So we next see him walking to Wisconsin, limping to Wisconsin along the side of a highway. And a car pulls up with some... what was the on my mind? I'm into something good.
Oh, yeah.
Tells me I'm into something. And so it's Scott Thompson.
Nothing.
From the Kids in the Hall.
Yes.
Drives up
and Hannibal.
Oh, okay. Damn, you're always doing it. Okay. And so it's like, oh wow, this is a lucky break.
Yes.
This guy who's not as he is. Are you a rapist? Are you a murderer? Nope, not today. So Matt Sweeney gets a ride all the way to Madison, Wisconsin.
Well, yes.
He's like, I'm going to Madison. I'll drop you off. And so, wow, that lucky him.
Yes.
Until freak accident happens and a truck carrying a bunch of pipes. One of the pipes falls off, goes through the windshield and through Scott Thompson's face.
Yes.
Which is the way somebody died in an old 80s horror movie. I want to say it was a movie. If I say The Hunger, I'm probably wrong. Anyway, but the same thing. Pipe goes through guy's face. So as Matt Sweeney's with the emergency people show up and they're like, oh, and somebody says, boy, that was really bad luck.
Yeah.
Crazy bad luck. Which makes Finney, and he's looking through all his coins and he's driving. He's like, and he realizes, I gave the source of my luck, at least in his mind, I gave the source of my luck to Shadow?
Considering what we know, that I mean, it's at least magical enough to go through dirt. Later on, we see enough through a coffin and cause the person in the coffin to not be in that coffin anymore. So I think we're pretty safe to say it probably is the Sorcerer's Luck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. Yes. So he was rather idiotic to give that particular coin away.
Yes, he was. Drunken idiot.
So yeah, he later on. We'll just finish. We'll tie that up with a bow.
Tie it up.
First, he confronts Shadow. He meets up with Shadow and Mr. Wednesday in Chicago or somewhere nearby, and demands the coin.
Right.
And Shadow's like, "Hey, I threw it on my dead wife's grave, so have at it." So then, at the end of the episode, we see Mad Sweeney dig up the grave. He finds the coffin. It's got a coin-sized hole in it.
Right.
And then we cut to the final reveal of the show, which is Shadow checks into a hotel, room 55. I don't know what that means. There's probably some relevance to that. But put a comment if you so know what 55 has a reference to. And when he checks into the room, he opens the door, boom, Laura sitting there. Yes. Not looking like a zombie either.
No, but I feel like in the book, she looked pretty good.
She could look all right,
first,
and
then as time went on, and
like, what's that smell? Kind of
until she killed, I guess.
She's there, and the reason she's there is because he threw the coin into her grave. And we're gonna. It looks like from the scenes from next week, it's going to be kind of Laura's story.
Yes. Yeah. So they're probably gonna elaborate on some of the stuff that we only heard about in her telling.
And in fact, we do see Anubis again in the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
She even makes a reference to like, well, my heart's not lighter than a feather.
Oh, yeah.
And then we see him like, you've died. So she obviously had some kind of Egyptian background.
I guess so.
I don't know. She took a class in college.
The movie.
She took a course.
I got these old storybooks.
All right. So meanwhile, after Wednesday kisses Zariah and it starts raining, and Shadow wins a game of chess.
War-flavored rain.
Yes. It tastes like you and something else. War. What is it good? No, they didn't play that song, but they could have.
That's right.
So it's
good forgetting when.
The next part is we're going to go rob a bank.
Yes.
Shadow's terrified of the idea of robbing a bank because it's going to put him right back in prison.
Right.
He just got out.
He promised that he would not have to go back to prison.
Yeah.
For what he was doing.
And so it's basically a con job. Yeah. It's not a go in and hold people up type operation, which is I think what Shadow thinks it's going to be.
Right.
And then he realizes it's not. So part of the con relies on horrible weather. And that it would shut down traffic, and it would also shut down a plausible reason why the ATM might be broken and all this stuff might be broken. I think that's why they had to warn the bad weather. Because the con is, oh no, the nightly deposits and the ATM are broken, so we can't accept money. I'll take it for you, and I'm a trusted bank employee, and I'll just take this money, and we'll write you a deposit slip. And then he just takes the money away. But without like a really horrible snowstorm, it maybe is less believable that this guy would just be sitting there taking people's money. I think it's why he wanted it snowing. And so he being Wednesday basically tells Shadow, think snow. Shadow doesn't really believe it's going to snow, but like, okay, fine. And almost falls into like a little trance-like state.
Yes.
At one point when they're in the Kinkos or whatever it is, it's like, and he's kind of falling asleep and thinking about snow. Like it starts copying snowflakes is the idea. And it's, so he's copying over and over again the snow and the crystals. And lo and behold, boom, huge snowstorm, which he somewhat believes he created. They have a conversation about that later where he's like, did I make it snow?
Yeah, it's interesting that he like, okay, I'll do it. And then later on he's like, did I do that? And it's like, well, you decided to do it.
I mean, I guess he could be thinking maybe Wednesday did it and just made him think he did it.
Right. There's a question of whether or not he did. Yeah. Right. But even still, I think he still had difficulty believing it, even if it was just Wednesday doing it.
Right. The supernatural element is still something that's eating at him.
He's resisting. Yeah.
So the con works. One thing we do learn that I think is interesting is a conversation that Wednesday and Shadow have in the copy place. And during that conversation, Wednesday mentions the various versions of Jesus.
Yes, that's right.
Like there's the African Jesus, there's the Mexican Jesus, there's the Jesuit Jesus. And, Shadow's always like, what do you mean? Isn't there just like one Jesus? They're like, no, there's a need for Jesus, so...
Big need.
Jesus fills the need, whatever. I forgot the exact line, but it's an important thing because it basically means that there's these different incarnations of all these gods. Later, we hear Wednesday, Odin, talking about how the U.S. doesn't know what it is. Like we don't. They wonder what they are, and in that conversation, Shadow says, "Oh, you've been all over the world." He's like, "No, I never left here."
Yeah.
So
that's important.
And so it's also that idea that the gods have these different incarnations. So he is an incarnation of Odin that is specific to the United States.
Yes.
Meaning there might be other incarnations of Odin and other incarnations of other gods that are all over the world. So that's kind of an important, we'll put a pin in it. That's an important facet of the stories that there are these different incarnations. So they do the bank job. Then they're driving away with their money. It's still snowing. They had this conversation about America not knowing what it is. They talk about faith.
Yes.
Obviously, Shadow's still having trouble with believing in this stuff. He's like, I'm just delusional. Wednesday basically says something like, well, do you believe in love?
Right.
And that's his way of kind of saying, trying to find something that Shadow maybe takes on faith.
Right.
And so he does believe in love, but he didn't always until he met Laura.
Right. Look what Laura did.
Yeah, oops. So then they almost run into a wolf.
Yes.
And Wednesday seems like a little smile on its face. It's like, all right, let's get going. I think what that wolf symbolizes is one of Odin, besides having two ravens that always are synonymous with him, the depiction of Odin, he also has two wolves.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's one of his wolf familiar type creatures.
I should have looked behind him to see if there was another.
Yeah, where's the other one?
Where's circling us.
So that's what I don't. Maybe it's a god that's in a wolf form, but I think it might just be my familiars. Good. Life is good. And then that kind of wraps it up, right? I mean, in terms of what we've already seen, Sweeney goes, gets a grave.
The last thing we see is his wife on there.
So something we talked about, you and I were talking about last week, and actually off air, is we talk off air. We were trying to guess because now there's this idea. It was confirmed that this season would not complete the book.
Correct.
And so we were trying to pick a point, like where do you think leave off? And we couldn't really come up with an idea for that. And then there was a tweet from Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
In response to that same question. Where in the book is this going to leave off? And it's kind of a surprising response. This surprised me. If this is true, and I guess it's true, Neil Gaiman basically said, this is going to be 5 seasons, and the first season is going to end slightly before the House on the Rock. Now, the House on the Rock is Wisconsin. When they're talking about, where all the gods are going to meet in Wisconsin, that's where they're talking about meeting. Yeah. So, book-wise, that happens about 15, 20 pages from where we are now. So, obviously, they're putting other material in here. And, for instance, next week, Laura. Right? So, we're going to know Laura's backstory. And in this case, they fleshed out these coming to America stories to the point. Like, for instance, I don't remember the woman in Anubis scene.
No. But I kind of feel like we heard about Anubis and the scale, though, because
Yeah.
the feather is not like a regular feather. I remember that, like, oh, it's not like it's got some weight to it. You don't have to worry so much.
It's weighted.
Like, well,
It's fake.
my heart, I know it's not a feather.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
No, you're fine. It's just a way of doing. But so they're basically saying 5 seasons, 8 episodes apiece.
Yep.
That's 40 hours to cover a book that's a little less than 600 pages long. Mm-hmm. Seems excessive. I mean, you think about like Harry Potter series, for instance, or something where you have like a movie per book.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, people were making fun of The Hobbit because there were 3 movies made out of one book, which comes nowhere near 40 hours. Yeah. Yes.
Rightfully
yes.
so.
Yes. Yes. But, so point being, if Peter Jackson had said, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing a 40-hour version.
Yeah.
And people would be like, what? So, it's not necessarily a horrible thing. I guess they're just going to flesh out these other stories and make it more than just Shadow's story. Because really, the book is from Shadow's perspective. Right. And they're kind of saying, oh, well, you know what? When Laura wasn't with Shadow, here's what was going on. And I guess that's legit. Sure. It's, so they're rounding out the universe of this book.
Yeah, I mean, they already rounded out something that we had taken as read, which is what happens to the leprechaun.
Right?
We didn't see that.
Right. They just basically he was basically a vehicle to fight and show Shadow's toughness.
Right. And Laura, has some little small things that weren't possible for Shadow to know about in the book. But obviously she has this in between some of these meetings with Shadow. She's changed. She's done things. So we'll probably expand upon that too. And they might even show more of Wednesday's things that happen because there's some big events that happen, and we only see a part of it, but we might show more of that. So, and low key, we might see more of his adventures.
That's true. We still haven't seen Crispin Glover,
and I'm sure we're going to see more of Bilquis. I mean, there's more.
Yeah. So I suppose each episode seems to have like shocking moment. I suppose the shocking moment was maybe the love scene in the genie love scene was kind of the big like ooh adult content.
It is adult content. I wasn't especially shocked.
Okay, maybe not shocking. I mean like
shocked with the face.
Like in other words, you wouldn't put that on NBC.
Oh, certainly not.
So it's the thing that makes it adult.
Face either.
Nah, you wouldn't put the guy in the face. You could do you come close.
Come close.
You could come close to guy in the face.
Yeah, but not as far as I don't think.
I'm just thinking like that. There seems to be a scene to justify that it's on Starz each episode, and the one that justified it's on Starz was the love scene in this particular episode.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
So I'm kind of waiting for that. What's the justification?
Broadcast.
So yeah. Anyway, so it's episode 3. Next week we'll be halfway through season 1. Although there are 40 episodes, so it's 1/10 of the way through. But yeah, they're not going really by the book in this. I mean, they're tracking the book whenever they're with Shadow.
Yes.
Shadow seems to be following the book, and then in between, they're like, yeah, let's throw some other stuff in there. So, yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it for now. We'll see by episode 37. If I'm like, okay, why are they still doing this? But for now, it's cool and it's vibrant. And it's effective storytelling.
Yes.
And I'm a fan. Mm. So, any final thoughts, Mr. Button?
No. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of the pace, I think once I realized that they were going to be taking it slow, I guess, it's not much of a surprise to me.
Well, it's funny.
I guess 5 seasons does seem like a lot, but I mean, I wonder what will happen once they get towards that 5. The end of that 5, I mean, I think I got an impression from reading it that they were really sort of developing people, and some thoughts perhaps that Neil had, are now being fleshed out. So,
Well, it's funny, too, because when we were having that conversation off air, that we always do, Paul and I, one of the things I mentioned was, it feels like from reading some of the comments online that people who have not read the book are confused about what's going on with the gods and are these gods and it seems too confusing. And so my point was, when it'll stop being confusing? When they get at the house on the rock, all the gods will get together, and then they'll have to show you all the gods. And so it was that same day was by the way, House on the Rock, not going to happen in season 1. I'm like, okay then. So prepare to be confused until season 2.
That's the thing I was thinking. That, I was listening to some people talk about it, and they were wondering how long they were going to be confused. And some people imagined it wasn't until this particular... This is the third episode.
Third episode.
The fourth episode, I think they were saying. But I feel like if you can read the book, you have enough time probably to finish it before the next episode.
At this point, you wouldn't even have to read the entire book. Just read the first 100 pages, and you'll be pretty much caught up with everything that's happening.
But it's pretty engrossing, the book. So I would just keep going and finish it.
Obviously, I'm giving you the jerks version of just read what you need. But yes, exactly. It's an awesome book. It's an awesome storyteller. There are some cool stories that interweave with this one too, which if they want to do offshoots.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, so I haven't read Game of Thrones, and I want to now, and it does feel like it might be easier for me to read the Game of Thrones because I've seen the show. However, there are so many books of and those books are big. There are many books.
Once you start down that path, it's a path.
Try to get, how much of this book can we get in this season? And this, of course, is not that.
It's not
how
like...
much of that book can we stretch out over 5 seasons? So...
your commitment to reading it is going to be longer than a couple of days, which this is a couple of days. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
As opposed to, all right. Book 1.
So I would suggest reading the book.
Read the book.
That's what I would suggest.
And Others by Neil Gaiman, because he's great.
Even though I had to sort of adjust to the fact that, okay, I kind of know what's going to go on. It's different than the book still, and it is nice to see it. So, and it's also just comforting. So I'm not as lost as people.
That's right.
You might be.
Did you just laugh at people watching? Great. Nice job, man.
I mean,
look away.
Laughed at that should encourage them. I don't want Paul to laugh at me. Now
I'll show you, Paul.
Yeah.
Damn it. All right. So yes, next week, episode 4. Tomorrow, Leftovers.
No, we hope.
And we'll. We know the future because we've seen a coin that told us whatever. Okay. So, Leftovers, American Gods, all that. Hit subscribe if you want to get notifications. Hit the little likey button. That's good too. And leave comments because so far, I believe we have 100% reply rate to anyone who has made comments. So we will continue that. All right. So anyway, bye everybody.